Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Arlington Millions Saturday usually features a wonderful afternoon of racing. The Grade 1 Secretariat looks like a sensational race. It's race number 9 at Arlington on Saturday. Let's take a peek at this field. A full field, but your morning line favorite at 2-1, trained by who else? Chad Brown. It's Analyze It, who began his career with 3 brilliant victories, and his last 2 starts have been, I think, pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that in a lot of ways. I guess just disappointed because he didn't win. I guess he's happy not to see Catholic Boy in this race, if nothing else. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to go back and watch those 2 races and give him any real big excuse for not winning, isn't it, Dan? I mean, he had the lead both times. It looked like he took over from Catholic Boy both times, and he was just going to go on to victory, and he didn't seal the deal in either of them. We'll see. I get him as the morning line favorite in this race. I do think he's the horse to beat. I don't know if I really need him at 2-1 though.
In the Pennine Ridge, I mean, it looked like he was on his way not only to a victory, but to an open lengths victory, and he let Catholic Boy come right back on him. In the Belmont Derby, he poked ahead in front, was a half length in front at the furlong marker, let Catholic Boy come back on him. Maybe it's Catholic Boy, maybe it's the distance. Those 2 are the farthest races of his career. Do you think 1.25 miles is within his scope? I mean, he is by point of entry. Distance shouldn't be a problem, at least from a sire standpoint.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and I do think that might have something to do with it, especially last time, because in the Pennine Ridge, that was, in a lot of ways, the Pennine Ridge to me was a more disappointing loss because, as you mentioned, he was clear in that race, like he was going to go on and didn't finish it. In the Belmont Derby, I mean, he was still fighting it out late. He went to his wrong lead at the end. I feel like maybe distance is the real thing that gets to this horse at the end of his races. He's a supreme talent, and if he runs his best race, he's going to be a handful in here. But if he's going to be the favorite, especially around 2-1, I'm happy to try to beat him in here.
I think you said it all, though, in that he's a supreme talent. I think he's the most talented horse in the race. He might be the best horse in the race, and he might get the best trip in the race. Let's see what the Timeform US Pace Projector has to say. Analyze It is the number 9. They have him as a clear second, sitting off the number 1 Real Story. A vastly improved horse who likes Arlington Park. He's won his last 2 races in gate-to-wire fashion. He beat 3 of these common foes in the local prep for the Secretariat, the Grade 3 American Derby. But you got to have the feeling that if Analyze It collars Real Story turning into the stretch, Real Story's no Catholic Boy.
Yeah, I think Real Story, he's obviously in improved form. I like his last 2 races. This looks like a spot that might be too tough for him. On the other hand, if he is going to come out of there running, I don't think that helps Analyze It that much. If I had Analyze It and I liked him in this race, I would want him on the lead. I would want them sending and putting him right on the front and trying to wire this field.
The 13 is Hunting Horn, also coming out of the Belmont Derby, a group winner at Royal Ascot on June 21st. He's done a lot of running in a short amount of time. This is his 7th start in 2018. I thought Ryan Moore gave him a really nice trip in the Belmont Derby, sitting behind the 2 protagonists. I know the pace wasn't very fast. He was punching on a little bit late. It was a good performance, and if the pace is fast, I think Hunting Horn will come with a good solid run. He's usable.
I agree with that. He's definitely usable. I thought he ran fine in the Belmont Derby. Those 2 horses got out in front of him, and he set a nice trip in there, and he raced on with them all through the stretch. He just couldn't make up any ground on those 2 horses. So we'll see if he can, get a better setup this time, and maybe things work out a little differently for him. I think he's a contender. I don't love him, but I'm not way against him.
Do you think Untamed Domain moved a little too early in the Pennine Ridge? It seemed like that pace was going to be slow, and he just kind of pushed Analyze It, who then had to push Catholic Boy, and those 2 eventually ran away from Untamed Domain, who then didn't have a great trip last time out in the Grade 3 Kent Stakes at Delaware. I think there's a way to look at him and say, well, he's a little bit dirtied up, but there's also a way to look at him and say he was a really good 2-year-old that hasn't gone forward at 3.
Yeah, I agree with both of those things, and I think that because he looks like that on paper, it all comes down to price. And boy, I tell you, Dan, 5-1 on the morning line, that doesn't do a lot for me with this horse. I think he's pretty good, and I think there's a way to look at him and think he'll get a good trip in this race and maybe run the best race of his life. But I would want more than 5-1 if I was going to take that proposition.
Michael Maker's a guru with turf horses, usually by Kitten's Joy, usually for the Ramseys. He's gotten the 10 Sniper Kitten Good. This horse has won 3 in a row. In the Mystic Lake Derby, he beat a decent field. One of the also-rans came back to win on dirt with a 90 Beyer speed figure, but he just got a really hot pace to set him up, and he came with a good, strong run. He is improving with each and every start. He might get a good pace here. We'll find out how good he is. The price will be right for a great trainer.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. I mean, I thought he ran fine last time with a really good trip, and it's not like it was the most impressive win you'll ever see, but he got it done. He's headed the right way for a really good trainer, and maybe distance will be fine for him. If at a big price, If you like him, take a shot.
Arlington Million Day usually features European runners. We've got several in the Secretariat. Let's begin with the 2. Platinum Warrior, who was a Group 3 winner 2 starts back at this mile and a quarter, beating the subsequent Irish Derby winner, the horse that beat Platinum Warrior last time out. Platinum Warrior never looked like a winner at any stage in the Irish Derby. It makes it hard for me to say, well, the mile and a half did him in.
I agree with that. I just didn't think he ran that well. And when you go back and watch the race that he won 2 starts back, I mean, you know, he was fine in there. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he just sort of grinded that thing down at the end. It was an okay performance. He'll have Lasix for this. I like that they got Rosario. They get a sort of a American-based rider. Maybe that helps him. But I didn't love this horse that much.
He's a good gate horse for a European horse, however. He's got a little bit of speed. He won't be that far behind, I don't think, like many Europeans are in their first start in North America. Bandua won the first 2 starts of his career, and there were murmurs that Dermot Weld was going to give him a shot in the Belmont Stakes. He backed off. Instead, he ran in the Irish Derby. He ran better than Platinum Warrior that day, not only finishing ahead. I thought he was in behind with a little bit of trouble in the stretch. Last time out, I think 14 furlongs was too far. I mean, Dermot Weld has not been afraid to throw a challenge at this horse so far. I think he's okay, but the question is this too much too soon?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does. I'm with you. If I, just had to take one of those, the first 2 wins we talked about, I would take this one. His first 2 wins were pretty good. I wasn't blown away by them, but they were pretty good over softer kind of ground. He had an excuse, I thought, in the Irish Derby. Last time, I just think it's too far for him. This is a better distance for this horse. So obviously his first 2 wins, both over this trip. So I think it really helps him getting back to this distance.
I think the 12 Lucius Tiberius might be able to pull off a surprise. He's a progressive sort, a son of Camelot who didn't do much early in his career, but appears he's figured it out against weaker competition. He's won his last 3 starts at a mile and a quarter. The 4th place horse in the most recent race came back to finish 3rd in a listed stakes. Boy, he's a grinder. He grinded it out from last time out.
Yeah, I liked that win from him last time, though. I know it's one of those races that you don't want to get too caught up in because it was basically 4 of them hitting the wire together. But this horse was last at the top of the stretch in there, and it's, his rider that day didn't even take him out for a run until they straightened away. I liked the way that he finished up in there to get up. I think this is a horse who's really progressing at the right time.
The 7 Captivating Moon got wired by Real Story as the favorite last time out in the American Derby. A very sharp trainer, Chris Block, is adding blinkers, probably to try to get this horse into the race a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked this horse. I think he's pretty good. I just feel like going a mile and a quarter in this race without any speed at all, it just feels like a really tall order for him to have to pass so many good horses in the stretch.
Carrick looked good in his first 2 starts for the Donegal folks. Last time out in the Grade 3 Kent, he ran okay to finish 3rd behind Golden Brown, who then was kind of thrown to the wolves in the Haskell. But again, this is a question. Is it too much too soon? 4th start stepping up against some really quality Grade 1 competition.
Yeah, especially for a horse that they debuted for a $40,000 tag. I mean, he was pretty impressive in his first 2 starts. And I'm with you. I guess he ran fine last time. But, just showing up in this spot and running the same race he ran in the Kent, it's not going to get him too much.
Pont du Gard, 4th in the American Derby last time out, finished behind several of these horses on several occasions. Last win came against fellow Louisiana breds.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him early on. I think there's some potential here. He's just in a really, really tough spot.
Dubby, post 11. He got beat by Real Story, finishing 3rd in that American Derby, broke a mini 2-race win streak. He's paired up Beyer Tops, but those Beyer Tops are only 84s. He's going to have to run significantly faster to win the Secretariat.
Yeah, it feels like one of those horses who's in form at the time. They want to take a shot, and that's what they're doing. They're just taking a shot in a big race.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 1 Secretariat Stakes. You're going to go with one of the European horses, the number 6 Ming. Ming beat 2 horses 2 starts back. He beat 3 horses last time out, but he did it in such visually impressive style that I have a feeling he's pretty good, and Joseph O'Brien is a chip off the old block, I think, as a trainer.
Yeah, I mean, we look at him the same way. I think it's hard to get too excited when he's only beaten 5 rivals in his last 2 starts, but he's won those races very easily. This horse was a debut winner on synthetic going a mile and a quarter. They threw him right into a Group 3. He got tired at the end of that race when Platinum Warrior ran him down, but he actually did a lot of running in that race. That pace was solid. He was up there setting it and contesting it the entire way until he got tired very late in there. I thought that was an underrated performance, and he has come forward out of that race. His last 2 wins are visually impressive. He'll get this far, and he's one of those European horses who has speed. I mean, he's not going to be outrunning this race. At a big price, I'm just willing to take a shot with this horse.
20-1 on the morning line for the number 6 Ming. Who else are you using? You got to use Analyze It in the picks. You're going to try to beat him.
No, I mean, I'm happy to try and beat him straight up if I'm playing picks. I'm not getting knocked out by Analyze It. I think he's a really talented horse. This is the kind of race where I would use a lot of Ming and a lot of Analyze It, and I will back up with some others. The Aidan O'Brien horse on the outside.
Lucius Tiberius.
That horse. You know, there are other horses I want to use, but I'm going to bet Ming to win.
I think this is a very important race in Analyze It's career. If it doesn't work out, Chad probably turns him back and tries to turn him into a middle distance horse. Little disappointed in his last two races. I think he trips out here. I think he takes over turning into the stretch. Let's see if he can seal the deal at 1.25 miles. I also like Lucius Tiberius. 9, 12, 13, 2 in the Grade 1 Secretariat. Race number 9 at Arlington on Million Saturday.